Hello aspirants, you're listening to the Aspirant Voice. Today we are discussing about farm bills. Before watching this video, it is good if you watch my inflation video. The link will be given in the description. So after that video, you will understand the farm bills and also the inflation roots. Now let's discuss about these farm bills. These are three bills that came into force in 2020, and these bills are a kind of reason for protests by farmers. Let's discuss what are these bills and what is the concern of farmer. Before that, let's understand a small concept. There are two kinds of farmers. There are small farmers and big farmers. These small farmers have small land and limited yield, and their access to technology is limited. Whereas in case of big farmers, they're having very large lands. Also, they will have high yields, and they can afford for necessary technology, that is in agri-tech. You have to understand difference between these big farmers and small farmers. Now let's see what are those bills which are in the news and which are the concern for farmers. Farmers in the sense mostly for the small farmers. Let's see. The first bill is the Farmers Produce Trade and Commerce Ordinance 2020. In this bill, farmer got permission that they can trade outside the fiscal premises. These fiscal premises were mandis or APMC yards. So here you have to understand that these APMC yards are under state governments. And why do farmers sell in mandi or APMC yard? Because here APMC will look after fair price that is sold to the public, also the fair price that a farmer should get. But in these APMC yards, no farmer directly sells. He directly will not sell. A middleman who buys the yield from the farmers will sell at APMC. And the minimum support price, which is monitored by the government, this profit will be given to, this profit earned by middlemen. So this is the issue. One of the main cause that farmers' income always limited, whether it could be a small farmer or big farmer. Outside of this APMC yard, MSP not guaranteed. As I said about small farmers and big farmers, many of the time the middlemen will purchase by claiming them as big farmers. But actually in the villages or else in the rural areas, there are big farmers and small farmers. And sometimes small farmers will not opt for this one. They will not opt for APMC yards, and they make direct deal with the private retailers. This is the practice is already existed in the country, and people are free to have direct access to the farmers and can take the yields. So after this particular bill, that is the Farmers Produce Trade and Commerce and Facilitation Ordinance 2020, this APMC yard condition is lifted. That means a person can sell in interstate as well as in intrastate. That means a person from Andhra Pradesh can sell his yield in Telangana also. But we have to understand one thing, that currently small farmers who have direct deal with private retailers, they can sell to these retailers could be from other state. So only the difference is this condition has been lifted. Now every farmer will have deal with businessmen or private retailers like Reliance Fresh, Spencer's, More, etc. Even you can add Big Basket too. It is an online retailer. They can make a deal with the farmers so that they can sell these yields out of the state and can make good profits. But In this condition, if the yield is very high, big farmers will make good money, but small farmers yield is not sufficient to meet the need of these retailers. Need of these retailers. Here you have to understand. Again, it won't benefit the small farmers, but at the same time, big farmers could benefit a lot. And as mandis and APMC are prohibited, state governments will lose a source of income, as the person who is selling in the mandi should pay license fees to the state government. Now let's understand, this is the reason that state governments were against. It's a source of income for them. Basically, agriculture is in state list, but these laws were imposed by central government. At least it will be valid if it is in the concurrent list, but a proper ratification should be there by state governments. So according to the procedure, if a law of this kind is to be implemented, first central government should pass the bill, that is in the parliament should pass the bill. After that, ratification should be done by states. This is the process. If you remember, the GST and also some bills came into force only after ratification in the history. Those are concurrent list bills, but this time a totally a state subject is decided by only parliament. That is not even parliament, simply you can say central government. Here is the issue with the issue in the political side. While coming to the farmer side, small farmers will not benefit much, but big farmers will benefit a lot, as maybe middlemen will be absent if these bills were passed. And also, mostly these middlemen are the reason for farmers protests, because they will be in the loss. So that is with the Farmers Produce Trade and Commerce Promotion and Facilitation Ordinance 2020. Now let's discuss the second bill, which is Farmers Empowerment and Protection, that is Agreement on Price Assurance and Farm Service Ordinance. Here let's divide it into two parts, that is Agreement and Price Assurance. Agreement and price assurance is nothing but the legal agreement between a farmer and a businessman. That means, as I said you, private retailers can purchase from farmers. So these private retailers can purchase from farmers. So they have the direct source, but there should be a legal agreement between these two parties. There should be a legal agreement. And in the legal agreement, there is a chance that a businessman can play in the sense he can demand a quantity and make agreement for it. But it is the land. In this land, the yield is not guaranteed. Exact count is not guaranteed. Count isn't guaranteed. The produce could be higher or lower. In case of the yield is higher, the businessman will purchase only the quantity mentioned in the agreement, and balance will be wasted. We are talking ideally. Balance crop will be wasted. But in the same way, if the yield is lower, they can't meet the agreement, and the money is already received from the businessman by farmer. So now the farmer should return the money to businessman, which is a challenge. And as we know, these businessmen, usually not only businessmen, in any commercial service, there are terms and conditions which are quite very tough to understand for educated. So there's a chance that farmers can easily tricked. Now let's see the second part, Farm Service Ordinance. So this service is nothing but a contract forming deal provision given to farmers and businessmen in between. So basically the farmers must be served as per businessman requirement. As I said you, the requirement could be quality, quantity and delivery requirement. In this condition, as I explained you, there is a chance of loss for farmers, and which is not guaranteed, but there is a catch here. That is nothing but these businessmen should buy the yield only as per farmers' demand. Let's say there are 3 farmers, namely A, B, and C. A farmer produced 1,000 kgs of onions. Another farmer produced 1,005. Let me make it clearly again. Let's say there are 3 farmers, and namely A, B, and C. This farmer produced 1,000 kgs. This farmer produced 1,005 kgs, and this farmer produced 1,010 kgs of the yield. And a businessman made deal for 1,005 kgs of onions with farmer A. So here the farmer made 5 kg onion short, so that will be a loss to the farmer. And B and C, they will come into the agreement for 5 kgs. As mandis and APMC yards are not there, what about other 995 kgs? Sorry, other 1000 kg in case of farmer B and other 1005 kg in case of farmer C. So in this way, all the farmers can't be satisfied. They can only be satisfied if there is a proper MSP, and this quality quantity delivery requirement conditions should not be stricter. They shouldn't be stricter. And negligible benefit or loss should be accepted by businessman. But basically a businessman or private investor obviously look for profit. In this way, it is very complex to understand this bill. And in the complexity of this bill, they have no chance to opt out, as Mandi and APMC yards will not be provided, and they can sell out of this. Again, I mean, these APMC yards are very important for such farmers, where they can be directly to the consumers. Let's say another case. In that case, there are farmers A, B, and C. A businessman bought all the yield from them, that is 1,000, 1,005, and 1,010 kgs from them. This businessman requirement is just 1,000 kgs. He will store in certain conditions these two, that is 2,015 kgs in a yard, and will sell when demand rises. In that way, the demand will give higher profit. These are basically things that a businessman has a chance to exploit farmer. But in either of the case, though exploitation is there, farmers will get benefit. What they are getting, farmers will get benefit, will be better than what today is. That is before the bills, they get benefited. But on the other side, consumer will get affected. Here you have to understand that this benefit is also not guaranteed, because if he has sufficient yield for a businessman and he's storing the quantity, why would he again go for next month? He will look after the date, look after the day of requirement, and then makes the deal again, a fresh deal. Because in this legal agreement, there is no provision for time period. Let's say there are some crops which may be produced in 1 month, mostly the vegetable crops, because they have deterioration factor. Vegetables grow faster and deteriorate faster. Both the things will be done faster. I hope you understood the complexity in this bill. Now let's see the Essential Commodities Amendment Act. Here they have that law. Basically, this law controls the production, supply, and distribution of commodities, and this is a regular thing which will be updated every year for new commodities. Let's say for example, in 2019, when onion prices hiked, these onions were amended and came into the list of essential commodities. In 2020, mask and sanitizer also listed under essential commodities. What is the need of essential commodities list? These are basically, as I said these are basically the stocks which can be and will be stored in certain yards. Usually this is called hoarding. So as supply is kept limited, demand rises, so that the prices that a consumer have to bear the burden for it. That's the reason Essential Commodities Act or ordinance usually is there. Now what? See, cereals, pulses, oilseeds, edible oils, onions and potatoes were removed from this list. This is one of the main reason, as this list, as these are the major these are majorly consumed by people, and these are taken out of the list from essential commodities. Now here you can think two things. Here you can have a clear idea in two cases that a farmer may store, but as he has the agreement, businessman or private retailers now got the opportunity to store. That means simply businessman is the new term. Middleman is replaced by private retailers. But what's the thing used to happen will happen again, because in any business profit is important. Let's assume that farmers knew it, but they have to supply as per agreement, so they can't store it. If they store it also, they can't make new agreement. It is not possible. So basically this list is removed from the essential commodities to benefit farmers, but it actually doesn't benefit farmers. I mean, theoretically it may benefit, but this law is not letting them to benefit. This law is not letting them to benefit. Now let's see what government is mentioned in this ordinance, that government will regulate supply and prices, or that is of any commodity. They will supply and prices is regulated only in the conditions of war, famine, high prices, that is high inflation, or else you can say high prices, and in the case of natural calamities. In case of high prices, there is another clause that in case of high prices, if it is a perishable good raised 50%, then it comes under, again that will be added to essential commodities. In the same way, for non-perishable good, if it rises 100%, it will be added into essential commodity. Here is the trick. Let's say, for example, there is an dal, okay, and dal price is 100 rupees today. The private retailers can increase it up to 50%. That is 150 rupees. So from 100 to 150 rupees they can raise, but they will play smart. So they will raise up to 100 to 145 to 148, and they will give the reason that they made an agreement with the farmer. So here on document, farmer is getting the benefit. But as I said in previous cases, considering all that, you can't guarantee this benefit to the farmers, but theoretically farmer will get benefited. And it raised above 150, and the raise is 151 rupees, then that particular dal comes under essential commodities. In the same way, non-perishable also. Okay, there is an issue here. I'm sorry that I have confused you as example. A perishable good example is onion. Non-perishable good example is dal. It's okay to make some mistakes, but it's important to understand the concept. I hope my mistake may help you to understand it better. So leaving that behind, I hope you understood these farm bills. Now let's see, as I'm calling 100 to 148 for onions, the price has been raised. In this case, see, these are not real prices, we are just assuming for theoretical purpose. This is raised. If it is raised, then consumer should pay. Here the consumer should pay, that means high price. That is nothing but the inflation. That's how the inflation concept, my first video, will complete a full cycle here. And I hope I hope you understood that in case of this percentage, I mean, see, in this percentage rise, you have to understand. Let's say for 6 months, the onion price raised 100 to 140. It is 40%, and as it is less than 50%, they don't need to raise the demand. But let's say after 6 months, if you look at the principal price, those onion cost is now 140, and 140, if you take the 50% rise, it will be 210. I hope you understand how it affects the inflation. But overall, these three bills theoretically results in farmer benefit. But to get benefits, as we know, in the real world, it is quite not possible to live on theoretical basis. So farmers has the concern, and as APMCRs will be taken, and these essential commodities are taken out of the list, and this agreement can change. So let's see what are the promises can government give these farmers to keep these bills intact. In this case, government should create a new legal service, where this legal officer should take care of these agreements. He should explain the benefits. But again, there is an issue that these legal officers may corrupt, so again it will benefit the businessman. So in this complexity, how farmers could get benefit, what government should do? Basically, government should give more subsidies. These subsidies should be raised, like for say fertilizer subsidies, seedlings, and also government should assist with water service, guaranteed water service to every farmer. And also government already created a service, ENAM, that is National Agriculture Market. In this ENAM, it connects all the APMC markets with it, and they can trade easily. So government should give access to the businessman from ENAM, and the payment should be done businessman to the government, and government should pay to the farmers. In this case, farmers will be secured in this system. So this simple update is enough to increase farmers' income. And this should be a kind of structure that businessman, ENAM, farmer, and this ENAM should be a new service, that is a new department under government. So farmers will sell to the ENAMs, and ENAMs will sell to the businessman. Here they can play the role of fair middleman, and in case of any loss to the farmers, they can legally question the government. So as they have this luxury to question the government, any case of wrong or scam or any mislead done by government can be solved by this ENAM. It's already this service is in work, but only through online portal, and a farmer can sell here only through APMC yards. I hope this video is very knowledgeable to you, and I hope you understood the inflation. As this video completed the basic cause of inflation, there are many causes from every consumer consumes. There is a cause in inflation, so they are not limited. Let's say even movie tickets prices will be raised. If all these movie ticket prices will be raised, if at all these prices increase. As I said in that old video, profit margin is important for the business. So from this, it will complete the whole cycle of inflation, and also we cover the most important topic in case of UPSC mains, that is the farm bills. I guess you can fairly criticize, and also you can fairly substantiate and illustrate on this question, any question from formulas. Please subscribe my channel and also follow my podcasts. I'm planning UPSC 2021 prelims revision series in my podcast. So in which I will discuss 5 topics a day. These topics, let's say now there are more than 100 days for our exam. So out of these 100 days, I will continue for 80 days. If you people encourage me, I will do it for 80 days. So 80 into 5, that is 400 important topics. And this is not limit. I will try my best to tell you more and more. I will not put 5 as my limitation. This is not limited. So please follow my podcast. You will miss a lot of revision for it. And in my YouTube video, I'm planning to make question paper series. That is one day, one question. But before that, I want to cover some more topics. The day when I cross 150 subscribers, I will start this series which will help you for mains. So it is very important to follow my Telegram channel and YouTube as well as podcast. The links will be given in the description. Also, the link of my inflation video, in case if any one of you didn't watch it, please watch it. The link will be given in the description. Thank you.